I think since day one, we've just been very open with the data. By making that data open and by kind of deriving insights from that data, we're able to build interesting tools on top of that.
Hi, I'm Bruno Aziza, and today I'm here with Naveen, who is the co-founder of Foursquare. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Lots of people know Foursquare, sure, but just to make sure that we understand what the concept is, tell us what you guys do, and more importantly, maybe the personal story, how Foursquare came about.
Sure. We built it because we wanted a better kind of city guide, a city guide that was very social, one that tapped into what your friends know about a city, where they go, what they do. And we built it to be very mobile because we're all very mobile. We don't carry our computers around. We don't carry magazines around, newspapers around all the time. We have this very powerful device in our pockets, and we need to be able to, we'd like it to be able to wake up and remind us of things that we want to do, remind us of friends, remind us of good events, remind us of recommendations or tips, things that we need to try or know about our neighborhoods. And that's mainly the idea behind it. That's mainly what we wanted to build, and that's what
you build, and it's extremely successful. So if you're not familiar with the concept of Foursquare, you walk into a place and you look at your phone and you can check into that place. And when that happens, not only do your friends know where you've been, but you can now communicate with people that are nearby and so forth. 8 million users today, so it's over 2 years. That's pretty amazing. What do you know about these users, and how do you think about the future of the data that you have about these users?
Sure. I think since day one, we've just been very open with the data. So what that means is that through our API, users can actually come in and get access to all the data that they actually put into the system. So if they were to think of some interesting application or some interesting kind of feature that we haven't quite built or we haven't quite figured out ourselves, we just don't have the time, being a very small team and being very young and new at this, they can actually go and build this. So people out there have taken their own history data, so all the check-ins that they've ever kind of amassed in the system, and they've built kind of visualizations. Where do I hang out? If I were to plot all my check-ins on a map of a city, what neighborhoods do I normally hang out in? And it usually tends to be like 2 or 3 places. Places around work, places around home, places around where your girlfriend or boyfriend is. And then we also see more interesting things like people taking it and showing off travel. All the cities that they've ever visited. They basically want to cross off places around the world that they go. And this automatically keeps track of that and automatically publishes that to all of their friends and, to this kind of journal or this diary that they're keeping. So we take a very open approach to all this data. So through the API, you can actually get to this.
For our audiences, how open you've been with the approach, or of course how I leave data trails behind myself, but how I've got access now to that aggregated data and I can start to have creative ways. You're not imposing on users how they should be using the data. And the way in many of our companies, we should think about it that way, where if you give back the data to users, they'll know what to do with it. Now, we're here at the Quantified Self Conference, and you have a talk about that. What are kind of some of the priorities you're thinking of in personal data and how it relates to Foursquare?
Yeah, I think we're here at Quantified Self because there's a big component of Foursquare that's very much in line with the ideas of Quantified Self. By checking in, you're kind of keeping this, attentive diary of all the things you're doing, all the places you've ever visited, all the places you've gone. And one of the things we're doing is, by making that data open and by kind of deriving insights from that data, we're able to build interesting tools on top of that. So half the stuff that I was talking about earlier was stuff that we're building and kind of getting out there. So, we use all the data about where people are checking in to show you what are the popular places in your neighborhood. So on a Saturday night when you take out your phone in a big city, you'll be able to see, hey, a lot of people are at the movies, or they're at a concert, or they're at parks. You'll be able to see people, all the airports are trending. There's a lot of activity. People are leaving for the weekend because it's Memorial Day weekend. And then we also start doing things like overlaps with your friends. So when you checked into this one party, there were actually 40 other people there, 30 of them were your friends. And then now when you look back in your history, when you go to your history page on Foursquare, you'll actually see, no matter when you go to that, a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll be able to see, I was there with 30 of my buddies, and that was a great night, wasn't it? And you can actually all talk about it together, right?
That's a great example of how social.
The data's there, and it's actually surfaced. And then on the second half of it, because we just don't have the time to build all the different cool tools, by making it available through the API, other people come and build interesting things, very similar to what we think about or we talk about. There's one app that basically takes all of your check-ins And every morning, it emails you with a list of your check-ins exactly 365 days ago, exactly a year ago.
A year ago.
And it's very, very interesting, because over time, as you get these emails, you start to realize, like, sometimes your life really changes, you're doing totally different things, but sometimes your life is actually very similar. You ran a race exactly a year ago, and you're going to do it again this morning, right? And you get to see that. You'll never be able to, like, really capture that, but this reminds you, 1 year ago, I was in New York City, it was actually really sunny, it was really amazing. 1 year ago, 2 days, I actually rented a car from Hertz, and that's exactly what I did this weekend. I went 1 year ago to rent it to go see my sister graduate, and I rented it 2 days ago to come to the Quantified Self conference. So some really amazing things about the data that
you wouldn't have thought about.
We just never would have thought about. We just never would have seen before. And people are going and doing this. People are actually kind of extracting this from all the data that's already there.
That's quite amazing, and that's a great example how you can use data to tell you back your story and how you can keep memories about your personal life in a platform like that. So that's one part of the equation, which is the users. There's also great values, of course, for businesses. Tell us what you're thinking about there as well.
So on the business end of things, we're kind of building two products. The big product is obviously for the users. We want to build great applications. We want to build a great API, a great platform, so that there's a great application, and then there's all this data that you can go build on top of. But we're also building a great kind of product for businesses, so that businesses can come in and advertise specials, give users a little incentive, a little something to continue using the application, but more importantly, to continue coming back and visiting, whatever it is that they do, bars or restaurants and so on. And so business can come in and claim their venue on Foursquare. They do it through 2 or 3 different methods, and once they claim it, they actually get access to all the backend kind of information. They get access to the backend tools, so they see analytics about how check-ins happen at their place, how they trend over time. Really kind of like a Google Analytics view of like what's going on.
That's incredible.
This dashboard. And then they also get access to this specials platform, so they can come in and they can see, I want to offer many different types of specials, or I want to do this one thing in this way. They put in all the right keywords and the right kind of triggers, and then now it's published to the world. And then the third thing they can do, they can see, well, now that I've published it, how is this actually resulting in more traffic?
That's incredible.
How is it actually changing behavior and getting people in the door?
So you're sitting on a large amount of data here, and you're being proactive and open with the users and how they use it. The data is being used and how they can use it. But there's also a great business value on the back end of how people can drive more business and help engage with their users. There's a lot more we could be talking about here, but I'm going to give the URL here of Foursquare if you want to find out more, if you're an individual and where to sign up. If you're a business, you can do the same thing. That's the same place. I know you're at Naveen on Twitter as well, so people can ping you there.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your time, Naveen.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Until next time, I'm Bruno Aziza.